You're live.
What is up, everybody? All right, hopefully we get a good big crowd here today. We got DJ JP Bartolomeo mixing up the tunes today, providing you guys with entertainment. But in all seriousness, this is going to be a blast. I'm going to introduce my guests in just a second. But in the meantime, as we're collecting viewers, I just want you all to enjoy this music that I put on loop.
I've never heard the song.
5 minutes straight. Never heard this song.
Never heard that song.
Jagger. And we're just going to listen to this right here. And it goes like this. Woo! This is great workout music. Who wouldn't want to work out to move like Jagger? And we're gonna tell you all about it. We are going to tell you all about it. And we're going to tell you about a lot of stuff. We're going to tell you about Len Whitman and someone named Christine and all this crazy stuff. But first, I'm going to give my guest today, my esteemed guest, a tremendous introduction here today, people. This individual goes by many titles. His first title, well, I'd say his first title is he's truly 100% a good friend, not just to me, but to many, many people. Another title that he holds is he's an absolutely fantastic financial advisor, and that's for sure. Another title he holds or held in the past is he's a great civil servant. This guy was the mayor of his town, the esteemed town of Colts Neck, New Jersey. Need a special permit and license to get into that part of Monmouth County. I think JP's frozen, actually. But most importantly, and what he's most known for is, hopefully he unfreezes. This is crazy. He's frozen in a weird look. He's got a weird look on his face. What he's what he's most known for is he is member 0001. Member 0001. He was the actual first member of the Max Challenge. He took a leap of faith. He was the one who filled out the first registration form, which actually didn't even exist. He just gave me a check, blindly gave me a check on my word that I was going to be doing this program. I'm just filling this time now because I think he's frozen. Wave to me if you're not frozen. So I'll just keep filling the time.
What's going on? Hold on 1 second.
Oh, but we could hear you perfectly fine.
Let me just make sure there's nothing else on. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, yeah, I get it. And, you know, besides being member 0001, and he's going to hold that title, nobody else could take that title away from him. He was the first one to have faith in the Max Challenge program. I think he thought I was nuts. I'll let him tell this story. But now he is officially has the title, and nobody could take this away from him either. This gentleman, Mr. JP Bartolomeo, has the title of being the official curator of the one and only Max Challenge Museum, right? So he has the most extensive collection of Max Challenge paraphernalia, some of which he's going to share with us today. And welcome, Mr. JP Bartolomeo.
Well, hello. Am I frozen anymore?
I don't think so. You've got to upgrade your Wi-Fi in your house.
You know, I have to get rid of some children that I have that have multiple things running that just got scolded. We scold during the day. Yes, welcome to, this is how I start my day. I make sure that all Max, you know, I try and get a little bit of all the seasons. We have St. Patty's Day. Of course, breast cancer awareness is going on right now. We had a different shirt on this morning. We have the Pride shirt. You know, of course, as member 1, I have other shirts that have the Max insignia. I do have some Max undergarments that I won't show anyone today. Of course, this was a gift from my partner, you know, Randy Lieb. Brian has one of these too. We actually had the bold idea to embroider a Lululemon jacket. I think it voided the warranty. Lululemon sent out some drones to try and take it back, and we've hid them. You know, of course, I always wear the other shirts just in case I forget that the jacket was on. And I won't show you how many undergarments, but I also have the pants, and I try and dress in red all the time to represent, and the red hat, and represent my friend Brian, who had one crazy idea one day back in 2011, and it's turned into quite the ensemble for me, because if it wasn't for the Max, I would basically walk around nude.
Yeah, I am gonna have to come by and take a quick gander at your closet a little more closely. I do have a couple of items that I borrowed, which I just never gave back, but maybe eventually I'll give them back. But because you've got an extensive collection of Max Challenge things.
Now, I will tell you, as the member, that's Brian. In case anyone's confused, that's Bryan and JP. Brian has the glasses, JP does not. JP's good looking, Brian is not as good looking. And there is my first key fob. The first key fob, I don't know if you could see it, and it is member 000000001, which was the conversation that we had that we'll get to in a moment, that I insisted I receive as part of this terrible investment I thought I was making. I'm just kidding. It's a great investment. And of course, we'll go a little fast, but this is the first Max shirt that was ever created by a guy by the name of Len Whitman from the end of the first challenge. This is a iron-on decal that we made on a t-shirt. We're gonna bring our t-shirts to him. So there were no magnets, I spy you, and who spies magnets, and driving beeping down the turnpike. This was it right here. We didn't even have an apparel.
That wasn't even an official shirt. No, that was you guys just got together and made the shirt.
Exactly, and then they sold it on the corner of New York City and peddled it. So
everybody showed up to wear it on day 50. Everybody wore it on day 50, and I think they actually presented me with a watch, from what I remember. It was not
a Rolex.
It was not a Rolex, but it was a watch, and it was engraved. It said something on the back. I should have brought that. That would have been a good thing to share. But I always
add it to the museum here, Brian.
So for our audience at home, it doesn't know, a lot of people, don't get never saw something start from the ground all the ways up, right? And people are afraid to take a step forward, follow their dreams, this and that. But truthfully, you didn't know me from anything. Your kids were just in the karate class. And one day you invite me out to coffee, and the rest is history. I mean, it just snowballed from there.
Well, we've since been married twice, divorced. It's been an interesting road. And if you'd like, I will give you my perception and my perspective of that lovely evening on the side of Route 9. I have the tendency to embellish. I try not to lie, but I like to make the story better. When Brian tells it, it puts me to sleep. When I tell it, it's usually a pretty fun, cool story. So it goes like this. My son was going to karate in Manalapan over on Gordon's Corner, and I had watched Brian build this karate studio in 2010 and 2011 to a very busy school. I was new to the area. I got to this Monmouth County area in 2008, and I just watched him build up this really young karate school. And I turned to my wife and said, this guy's pretty impressive to me. And in addition to that, he lost a tremendous amount of weight. Maybe he's sick, I don't know, but let me ask him. So I tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, look, my son's been here. He knew who I was. I'd love to just meet you for a cup of coffee, at which point he looked at me even more weird and thought that I was trying to steal his wallet. But we went out for a cup of coffee on a summer night, early summer night on Route 9. And of course, as I always do, speak a lot and never shut up. He didn't really get a word in edgewise. I gave my whole life story and when I went to high school and who I dated and, the different businesses I started and where I was in life and, the size of my shoes and so on and so forth. And the one thing he did say to me that always resonated with me at that part of the conversation, I had said I wanted to try a triathlon. And he had said, don't say you're going to try it, just do it. And that was kind of when he finally got a chance to speak, because about an hour into it, I finally gave him the opportunity to say something. And he said, well, listen, you look like you're in shape. I'm 6'3". I was not in the shape that I'm in today, but I don't carry it big. I carry it tall. And he said, let me just throw this idea at you. You look like you've worked out, which I had my whole life, and lifted weights and such. And he went on this kind of bizarre, weird road of, I want to have a group class and we're going to, really, not egg each other on, but encourage one another and clap and high five. And you're going to blog. Remember, the Facebook may not have even been out yet. It might have been MySpace, which we weren't entertaining back then. You're going to blog your nutrition every day. So if you have a piece of chicken, you're going to write it down and wah, 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 wah. I'm like, that is great, sir. Wonderful. This is a lovely idea. And how often are we going to do this? 5 days a week for 10 weeks.
6
Now,
a.m. too.
What'd you say?
It was 6 a.m. Also.
Oh yeah, and 6 a.m. Now, for those watching and listening, remember these words. You can't work 5 days a week. That's not even healthy, because that's what was always said. So automatically I'm an authority, which I was not. And those are the words that came out of my, it's not even healthy. You shouldn't work out every day. Okay. So of course I'm looking at this bald fella, very skinny in front of me saying, poor guy, stay with karate, pal. You got that down to a science. Well, who has anyone signed up for this idea yet? It's like, no, not yet. You're one of my first kind of person. I was just going to throw it out there and see if it's up.
You are the first person that I actually took.
I was trying to give you a little credit there, Brian. So anyway, me with my big mouth, I turn and go, okay, well, two things. First and foremost, I'm in. What is it going to cost? Figuring he's going to say, don't worry about it. It's on me. He's like, that'll be $3.99. I was like, all right, do me a favor. Here's a check. Fill out whatever you want. Again, not even thinking this is going to take off, but he's got a blank check in his hand. I said, we're ready to go. So I'll show up, me and you. I don't know what this is all going to be. And then we'll go have coffee, but I'm in. What are you going to name this new business of yours, sir? The Max. Ooh, okay. Creative. The Max. And he goes, well, it's my dad's name, and I thought I'd name it after him. So I go, oh my God, that's a great name. I think that's the best idea I ever heard. I thought it was the most generic thing in the world, but I am very close to my dad as well. And I'm like, I don't think I could call my gym the Joe, but the Max is apropos. Fast forward to the end of the summer. We're still doing karate. I did my triathlon on the heels of just do it. And I did it. I learned what to do, and I went to YouTube and asked questions, and I did my sprint triathlon. Best thing I ever did. Best advice I ever got was, don't talk about it, just do it. So we show up the first day, September 11th, 2011. Correct, Brian? Monday?
Yeah.
Kickoff was September 10th. That Sunday was my triathlon, so I couldn't make the kickoff. But I told them no matter what, I'll be there for the first day. Showed up, and there were 32 people, 22 in the 6 a.m. And he had actually gotten people, convinced these poor karate school parents to show up at the other one too. So I was like, all right. So we show up that first morning, and Brian did what Brian always does. He inspired us. He pushed us. He challenged us. I don't know how much of a plan he really had. He had a bit of an outline, but it kind of just went its way. And that was it. It was born with 32 people. 32 people went through the challenge. We had some candidates at that time that were truly, in terms of the spectrum of overweight, big people. And two of them had lost 50 pounds on this program the first month. It wasn't even like battle tested. Brian just had an idea and said, just do it. Now, I've learned another thing from Brian, and I just talked about this to him recently, which hopefully people can take away. My whole life have always been a structured person. So I know I got to get up. I put one sock on at a time. I go to the bathroom. I brush my teeth. Then I go to the bathroom, whatever my structure is. And if I don't do it that way, it screws with me. So Brian had an idea, and he went with it. I don't know if what he went with was exactly the way it was supposed to be, but the point is that I didn't know either way. If he stopped and said, oh my God, it's going wrong, it would have ruined it for everybody. He just pushed through it. So I'm going to jump forward to when we did one of our finalists, one of our the end of the challenge. Bryan rented out the Millstone Theater, right, Brian?
Yeah, Performing Arts Center.
Performing Arts Center, 1,200 seats. So he and I talked. This was probably the third challenge. So maybe about 9 months later. So we had done the first challenge, then the legacy 5-week sprint type of thing, and then maybe the summer of the next 2 challenges. It was really building steam in the Marlboro, Manalapan area. It was the buzz all over the area. And we walked through, with the help of others, the process and how it would kind of go. And during that, things kind of went sideways and made themselves back around. So if the syllabus was written this way, it kind of like ping-ponged around, maybe came back here and then down. And me in my head, I sat there and said, this is not going right. He's missing this, or he missed that. And it needed to, but what I learned, and this is one of my messages, is that it's okay. Just keep pushing forward. It will figure itself out. The audience didn't know any different. They were there for the show. They were there to be entertained and inspired and spoken to. So sometimes your day might not go the way it's supposed to. You just push through to get to the end of the day. It doesn't matter if it took a left or a right. And I've actually instilled that in my life on many occasions to say, it's okay. It doesn't need to be that structured as long as you're getting to the end. So first day was there. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't miss a day of that challenge. I was there every single day. And I've actually completed many challenges on a 50-day. It gets harder and harder as life goes on. But 32 people completed it. We had our winner, friend of ours, Christine, and pretty amazing stuff. But when I sat down with him, I will tell you that it was definitely not where I think it would ever go. And he did it. He took the advice he gave me, just do it, and never looks back.
It was with a lot of help. But I'm going to play this song one more time to put some perspective on this.
So Brian, there was no Sonos.
Well, I want to let everybody know, like, I didn't even own, I don't even think I had a cell phone. I definitely did not have an MP3 player or an iPod or anything like that. So basically, I don't even know what I was using, but I had 5 songs. I think it was 4 songs. It was Simply the Best by Tina Turner. It was Move Like Jagger.
Flow Rider.
I don't remember which song by Flow Rider, but yeah, it was a song by Flow Rider.
Boots with the fur.
All right, I'm gonna have to look it up later for sure. Or maybe we could find that. Maybe we could find that.
They don't want to hear it.
No, they don't want to. But it was absolutely hilarious because Move Like Jagger came on for like, this was probably like 3 weeks into the first 10-week challenge. It came on for like the 3rd time in that class and probably like the 75th time in that 10-week challenge. And this guy from the back, he used to stand in the back line, Dave Greenberg, who's been with us for years and years and years with the Max Challenge. He just walks from the back to the front, walks over to the boombox or whatever that I was playing this off, pushes stop or unplugs it from the wall and just goes, I used to like Move Like Jagger. Now, whenever I hear it, I want to throw up in my mouth. It just was, so I think it just goes to JP's point, not every single element of something has to be absolutely perfect. As long as you're moving forward and can produce enormous value. And I'd like to think that we definitely produced enormous value in that 10-week challenge, because those 32 people, 28 of those people continued with the program, right? The ones that were going to drop, they dropped in the first week or 2. The rest of them, they made it all the way through the whole thing. And then they became basically what I'd call like almost lifers. I mean, they were there for years and years and years and years. But even more amazing, they brought in literally, it's got to be hundreds of people just through word of mouth. Just absolutely incredible. And I have such a debt of gratitude to all those people that did that. But, I think it's amazing because it just goes to show if you've got an idea and you put, like JP says, 1 foot in front of the other. It's a matter of sometimes just putting 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot until you achieve success. And you're going to have roadblocks along the way, but don't stop. You just keep moving forward, 2 directions, forward and back. There is no stop. And whenever you see yourself, sliding back a little bit, just keep taking those steps forward, keep moving forward. I think especially in crazy times like this, keep moving forward. That's my mantra.
It's a good mantra.
So what else you got? What else? How do you groom your beard to be so, I mean, I would guess that you probably shave while you're in the shower.
Yes, Brian, I shave while I'm in the shower so I don't miss the patches on my head. Other friends of mine that are bald choose not to do that, and they have a clump of hair here and a clump of hair here. It's not a good look. I make sure it's all clean.
Yes. But that's another message that I think is important to share with everybody. I call that a confidence move, right? Like if I go out of my house and my wife is like, you missed the spot, and I don't feel like shit, I'm just like, okay. And it just doesn't bother me. And someone on the street could be like, hey, bud, you missed, yeah, all right, whatever. They're like, oh, your shirt's a little stretched out, whatever. It's a confidence. When you got confidence, it don't matter. You just keep going. You keep going. You're impervious to everything, around you. There's nothing that stands in your way.
And that's a good trait to have until guys in white jackets are chasing you with a butterfly net and throw you in the back of a van. Hey. Then the little patches on your head could be a problem because they're worried that you can't. That's
true.
Survive in life.
I mean, during this phase of life, this coronavirus phase, I mean, it was beginning to resemble a ponytail. So like I had one patch that just kept going and going. So but I got rid of that. I got rid of that for sure.
What are some other things you want to talk about, Brian?
Oh, I think what's the greatest transformation that you witnessed in all these years? It could be anybody. I mean, somebody.
I do believe our friend Christine had a phenomenal transformation. That is something that you can never discount. The gentleman that I had mentioned earlier, Steve Panza, when he first started with us. I've been with Brian from day one. I think most people watching this know that.
Steve was fighting an uphill battle because he was in the ice cream business.
Yes, he still is.
So he sold ice cream cones, Panza's ice cream cones.
You'll see the trucks on the turnpike from time to time.
So this guy, but he still did it.
He did it.
You got to get that right. But people make up all sorts of excuses. I'm too busy. I'm too this. I'm too that. Here he is. I mean, literally running this. I'm thinking it's pretty fair size company. I know it's run out of Staten Island, I believe, but I see those trucks
all
over the place, delivering Panza's ice cream supplies to all the ice cream shops. And so this guy's going, all his customers are ice cream shops, and he's going in and out, traveling and going in and out of these ice cream shops. Still crushed it, totally crushed it.
Because I've been so involved, I've taught for a long time. I've taken some time off. I owned Marlboro with Randy and you, and then now it's Randy's. I've crossed paths with thousands of people between Marlboro and Manalapan. The transformation isn't always in the weight. It's in people's personalities. It's in people's demeanors. We have somebody in Marlboro, and I don't want to offend anybody because I'm just going to mention one name, but there's so many of them. But like Mark Rosano, who basically now runs before every class. He went through a massive transformation, wanted to change his life. Can't tell you how many friends of ours have come to me and said, I want to see my kids grow up. It isn't always in just the weight loss, it's in the fitness and getting your heart pumping every day, getting into a routine, showing up every day, not saying, I'll hit the alarm clock. How many times, again, when I taught, I had a certain style. Some people recognized that I had a little different of a style when I taught. I don't know what they ever talked about. I always thought I followed the Max instructor handbook, but for some reason I must have been missing some pages. But there were a lot of people that would come in and they would tuck themselves in the back. They would hide. What I always tried to do, now my method isn't always the standard, but I always tried to make sure I knew they were alive. Even if they were the quietest people in class, they never wanted to be noticed. I made sure I always mentioned their name during class, even if I would call them the wrong name.
Remember, I know, so like Christine is an example, right? So by the way, for anybody that doesn't know Christine, she lost in total, it was literally, no, it was 46 pounds in the first 10 weeks. I still remember. It was 46 pounds in the first 10 weeks. And the 28 people that finished with her voted her as the challenge winner, which was amazing because she went on to lose 170 some odd pounds. So you can imagine, even after losing 46 pounds, she still had a long ways to go, but still the heart and the soul of the Max was not about what she looked like. It was about what she achieved as an individual, as a person, the perseverance that she demonstrated, the inspiration that she provided to the rest of the class. The woman never missed a day. You know, I remember she would have, shin splints or whatever. She'd ice it before the class. Sometimes she would just march in place. I remember JP being an incredible source of inspiration to her because he would go to her and push her a little bit, but just enough to get her out of her comfort zone. So as an example, she would only wear black, like big, baggy black clothes. Like if she was going to wear a headband, it was a black headband. If she was going to wear a wristband, it was a black wristband, black t-shirt, black sweatpants, black everything. I think she probably even wore black shoes. Maybe even the shoelaces were black. I mean, the woman wore all black. I mean, it was a confidence thing. She stood in the back of the room and JP would say, hid herself behind other people so she wasn't in direct line of the mirrors. She didn't want to look at herself. And JP would constantly be, kind of just egging her on just a little bit, an inch at a time. Hey, why don't you just change one of those black wristbands to pink or something like that? Or why don't you wear a pink tee? And slowly but surely, as she began to transform physically, her confidence grew and she started to wear different colors and this and that. And her life was beyond a shadow of a doubt transformed in many ways. And she deserves a lot of credit for that. But I think JP and the other people in the Max Challenge community really were part of that a big part of that transformation as well.
Well, you make a good point, and that is the Max secret sauce, right? It's the cohesion, and it is other people cheering you on as well. It's not necessarily just the instructor. It's the bond that you make with your friend who makes sure that you show up that day. It's the person that stands next to you and say, hey, you could do one more. I was working out with someone on Tuesday, and that person didn't want to do 2 solid minutes of mountain climbers. And I would have expected of all the people that walk the earth, he would want to do those mountain climbers because you could do anything you want for 2 minutes. Hemmed and hawed, and he just needed to hear it. We could do it. Let's just do it and get it done, and we'll set the clock, and we did it. But there are days that I need to hear it. There are days I can say it, but we all need to hear it from time to time. And it doesn't hurt when you say it to somebody else because you never know when somebody needs it. Christine was wrapped. I mean, we're using Christine as a great example. She was wrapped by that class that inspired her and supported her for years. And that is not just back from year one. Again, I went on to Marlboro with Randy, and the stories are endless. All the people on our wall, Dolores, our dear friend Todd was a winner. Alex DeShore. I'm just blanking on.
All amazing stories, right? But so just in complete transparency, so JP and I were working out the other day. I didn't want to do the 2 minutes of mountain climbers. I didn't want to end with that and then do the plank. I just wanted to jump right to the plank. But then, JP gave me a little nudge. We did the 2 minutes, and you know what, man, you feel good after you step out of your comfort zone, right? I just wasn't feeling it that day. Then I did it. I gave it my absolute best effort, and I felt so much better after. So, they say you become like the 5 people you surround yourself with. So if you look at the 5 people that you're around the most throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, the average of those people is going to end up being the average of who you are. So I think it's so important to surround yourself with people that are striving for excellence physically, mentally, emotionally, because it rubs off on you. There's absolutely no doubt, right? Like I could have easily been in the class with somebody, working out with someone who just said, yeah, let's not do it, right? And then next week, maybe JP leans on me, and that's what it's about, keeping each other accountable, keeping each other moving forward. Very, very important.
Agreed. So you never know who you're going to inspire or who you're inspiring. Never know. You never know when someone's.
That's
I've never-
it's more, it's even more than what, right? Because it's not like we knew, or I knew when we started this, that there was going to be such incredible inspiration coming out of the Max Challenge community. I mean, certainly it was the intent, but you could have never have imagined how these stories would affect so many people in such absolutely incredible ways.
And you never know who you're inspiring. You never know. Jealousy is a really mean word. It's I don't know. I try not to use jealousy. I use a lot of other bad words. I don't use jealousy. Envy is a very unique word because you could be envious of anything and anyone. I just feel jealousy is not a good way to look at things. We all have things that we forget are great, but I do look out the window from time to time and say, I'm envious of that person. Or if I see someone who really successful, I'm like, I'm envious of just the success. People, when you work out at the Max, we're Max centric here, but it's a life story, a life lesson. You never know who's looking at you to say that person's working out hard, and then you're inspiring someone you don't even know. And that, from teaching for 5 years, I knew that cold. And I knew holding the people accountable that were dogging it, they didn't dog it because not only did I call them out on it, I called them out on it loudly. So I made sure people knew that I was alive watching them, but they knew if they were showing up, they were showing up. They weren't showing up to.
Yeah. I want to, we're running out of time, but so I want to tell them a JP philosophy that I think is very helpful during these times and always, right? Because, many people, especially JP's in the financial services industry. He's a fantastic financial advisor, has helped me out in many, many ways. And over the years, especially as my career began to grow and the number of units that we had and the number of franchisees and such began to grow, he really helped me to chart a course for my financial future. And at the beginning of this pandemic, JP came to me and he said, I got this thought, I got this idea. So, okay, JP, what is it? He said, we got neighbors and they're moving out. And I said, okay, all right, you got neighbors and they're moving out. He says, and do you know who the neighbors are? Because of the same neighbors that you got, and they're moving out as well. And then he's trying to think back to the JPism that I'm going to bring up. And then I said, no, JP, I don't know who the neighbors are, that the same neighbors that you have that I have. Because in fact, every town in the United States has these neighbors and they're disappearing by the dozens, if not the hundreds, maybe even the thousands. And it's been brought on, it's a positive that's been brought on by the pandemic. And then I said, who are these people and what the heck are you talking about? He said, these people are the Joneses. The Joneses are moving out. The guy that was striving to have the biggest car, the guy that was striving to be, it's no longer the biggest house, the guy that was striving to have the most expensive this and the most expensive that, no longer lives here anymore. Everybody is just, as long as you're happy, as long as you're healthy, as long as you're doing the best that you can to provide for family, that's what's important now. And I think that's an incredible perspective, right? Because jealousy, greed, envy, all these things, they don't build, they destroy, right? They don't lift people up, they push people down. And, the more that we could just open up our hearts and our minds and look at, hey, we're all in this world together, and it doesn't matter, the guy who makes the sandwich, the person who fills up the gas tank, the person who runs a Max Challenge, the person who runs the town, the person who runs all of us, we're made from the same stuff. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. And I think it's about time that we rise up as a community and take JP's advice. I think we should all be a bit more conservative. We should probably save more, worry more about, a little bit less about what we got now and a little bit more about what we could contribute to the world. I think that's a fantastic message. And one of the things that I've gotten off of JP, as much as he's pushed me physically and sometimes mentally too, right? Because, he'll push me to mentally do the extra set or whatever. Sometimes I'll push him and mostly he pushes me to do the extra set or to run the extra mile. He helped me train for my first half marathon and such. As much as he's pushed me that way, he's asked, really difficult questions as I've been going down this path. Like, how you doing on your retirement? What have you got socked away? Do you need some, and he gave me really good, solid, friendly advice that is definitely, I'm glad that I did, especially right now in the middle of the madness of it all.
Thank you, Brian. I do like my Joneses analogy. It was very important. Sadly, I think they've slowly moved back in because things have lightened up, and we all do. We all have short-term memory, right? We forgot what it was like, really how difficult it was April and May. I mean, think about it. April and May, there were no cars on the road. You were only going to get gas or food.
Yeah.
So it's shifted a little bit, but for those months, the only thing people worried about, I don't care if you were the richest person in the world or the poorest person in the world, or in America, let's say America, you wanted to make sure you had food on the table, water running in the bathroom, a roof over your head, and the people around you were safe. Didn't matter what watch you looked at, what car was, like you said, car, sneakers, clothing, trips, nothing mattered. And those people disappeared for a while. I think a lot of them are gone, but you're starting to see it percolate. But life's short, right? Sadly, and not to end on a bad note, we all just lost a very dear friend of ours, young man. Life is short. Control what you can control. Don't get caught up in noise. Don't get caught up in hoopla, other people's opinions. Just and
It's good advice.
Have a game plan. Game plan is real important. And another thing Brian built into the max was failing to plan is planning to fail. Forget about the finance side. Just in life, where do you want to be? Do you want to be healthier? Do you want to be more energetic? Do you want to be more helpful? I used to end a lot of the classes that were the power talks, and I would tell people, just hold the door open for somebody today. It doesn't have to be, make sure you eat your P's and Q's and you're cutting up this much chicken today and use your little 9-ounce container. Hold the door for somebody today. Smile at somebody today. You'd be surprised how rewarding that is coming the other way. Real quick, on the other side of my office, I have a letter written by my son. He made me his hero in grammar school. It's a very prideful thing, and I'm very proud of my children. And in the letter, he writes, my dad always says hi to people as he's walking by them. Hey, how you doing? Hi. And in the letter, I think he was like 10. And he says, I turned to him and said, why do you do that? And I said, I don't know, I just like to say hello to people. And I like to see people smile. A 10-year-old noticed that and wrote about it as being I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but that little message of, hi, how you doing? Everyone's texting. I drove to the mall. Kristen and I, my wife and I, went to Costco and Target. We didn't have enough time for Bed Bath & Beyond, but Costco and Target. Hopefully you all got that. And I let a few people by, like in the car, like you wave them by, you're stopping it, and most of the young people that were driving didn't even acknowledge that I, gave the little wave. And I think that's because we've gotten into a society where everything is so driven on the texts that thank you and you're welcome and all that stuff. It's not even in the text anymore. So you'd be surprised when you say thank you to somebody or hi, how you doing or anything. It lifts your spirits up collectively on a daily basis, no matter what's going on. A smile will always make you feel better. And a lot of times, the bald guy who's wearing the hat on the other side, who's a stress ball sometimes, I don't even engage with him. I just try and make him laugh because he's a busy guy. He's trying his best to build and continue to build and sustain this phenomenal product. And I'm really fluffing him up here, but he's my friend. And there are times we're talking and he's over here somewhere. And I'll just say stupid, idiotic things just to get him to have a 5-minute break from his brain because the stuff going on in here is just bouncing around his head. How many other people are dealing with that with what's going on? How many people are dealing with what's going on right now? So holding a door, we don't really hold doors anymore, right? We don't even open doors. We're afraid to hold it. Thank you, you're welcome. Goes a long way.
It goes a long way and it spreads happiness. And that's what the Max is really, truly all about. So thanks, JP, for ending it with that, because I believe that to be very powerful. And it's a good reminder, right? I remember those days when, everybody held the door for everybody else leaving the max, and people would smile at each other. And I think that we've got to get back to that, even if it's behind a mask. It's really good advice. It's spreading happiness. So that's it. We're signing off. Everybody's got somewhere to go, something to do. Let's go do it. Let's have some fun today. Let's spread some happiness, and let's make sure we take it to the max while we're at it. Okay? Do us a favor, take it to the max. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.